Now this video is the restoration of an NSU Quickly 2-speed engine. This one I bought on eBay. It's a 1956 engine. You can see there, all the early models, the engine had the number with a plate like this on this section of the engine. They stopped using this then, and the engine number is normally stamped on the side there. Now this engine came without a piston, without the head. I had already purchased the heads from another person, so I'm actually going to put those onto that with a new piston. So I'll start taking it apart, I'll put it on the frame. This is a frame for the NSU Quickly. Just something unusual on this here is that these are rear footrests, which normally wouldn't have been on a Quickly. So I don't know why the seller put them on there, but they'll be of some use to me anyway for some of the other projects. I'm going to do now, which you wouldn't normally be doing with an engine, is I'm going to take off these because they're actually very cumbersome and in my way. I've just noticed there now as I'm turning the flywheel that it seems to be distorted. It appears to be distorted, so there could be something wrong with the shaft. Anyway, we'll see that later on. I'm having difficulty getting these things off. I'm taking off the flywheel there now first. I'm undone the nut, and there's 2 spring washers in there, and then I'll take off the flywheel. There's a special puller. Right, the pullers goes on here, thread it in there like so. And to get it off, then you tighten this one, hold this one with a wrench of some description, probably one of these, and turn this nut, and then this should come off. Right, you need to hold, as I said, the nut like so, and then using 19mm spanner, turn this one, and that'll break the seal on the woodruff key underneath. So then all you have to do is just wind this in, and it winds the flywheel off. So that's it. You can see that there's a groove there. That groove goes over the woodruff key, which is there. That's the little woodruff key there. There it is. Okay, I can see now why somebody has already taken off that flywheel. The condenser is missing, and the lighting coil is missing. This out, there are 2 screws holding it, one there and one there. Now there's normally a mark somewhere. Normally it's up here to show the position that it should go back into, so I don't actually see it, so I'm going to mark it myself, just in case that whoever put it back in the right place, but probably didn't. I just went checking it there for a second, and in actual fact that's the mark there, and that's the mark that's on the thing itself, so these 2 should normally line up. So everything to do with the flywheel there now, I just put it in there. There are small little bits missing, but we'll get to that when we're putting it back together. So now I must continue on trying to get these things off, because otherwise I can't get the casings apart. What I could do in the interim is take off the sprocket. Now there should be a lever here with a bar going across there as well. That's missing as well, but we have those in the spares anyway, thanks. Right, this is the pullers for getting the sprocket off, which is much bigger than the one to get the flywheel off. So again, tighten it onto the sprocket, there's threading on it there, and then tighten this, hold this and tighten this down to pull. Right, it's after loosening down off of the woodruff key, and it's, as you wind it, it pulls it out. That is. You can see that there's a little space there, and again there's a woodruff key here, which is actually a different woodruff key to the one at the other side. It's much wider. There it is. That's the little woodruff key. Okay. They're the two woodruff keys now side by side, so you can see the difference in the thickness. Now, I haven't been able to get them off. It looks as if I'm going to have to cut them off, but anyway, this casing is damaged here where the stand goes on, so I'm going to have to replace it anyway from my spares. Now, I've started taking off the bolts. Normally there's a bolt on top of the bolts, but the bolts holding the earlier engines just had nuts holding them in place, so when you take them off you're going to damage the threads, so they're going to actually be useless. But if there were normal bolts in the thing, I would normally put them on a board so that I know where each bolt came from. So I'll follow the procedure as I'm at it. That's number one, and that's how I go about the engine. I mark the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 bolts altogether. So when I take them out, I'm actually taking out number 8 now at the moment, and then I've loosened number 7. Number 6 I'm going to have problems with because the bolt is actually flush here and it's flush at the other side. So I don't know how I'm going to get it out, but I'll figure something out. Now, I had to cut off the things that were holding these back footrests. I don't know who put them on there, what sort of codology they were going on with, but I had to cut the whole thing off. I have that's the spindle for the pedals, so I have spare ones anyway, so I'll be able to restore it. Now, this is the damaged section. This one comes off first, so at the moment I'm just tapping it very gently to get it up. I got all the bolts out, what bolts were in there, so I'll just get that off now. I finally managed to dislodge it. Now the casing looks to be in pretty good condition, other than this piece that's damaged here, so I'll have to look and see if I can repair that. I don't think I can, but because I think the casing is aluminium, so it'll be difficult to fix it, but I have spare ones anyway. Right, this is what the inside looks like, and this is the codology that was going on with. Somebody had taken the spindle out and put all this rubbish in. I don't know what it's all about. There it is. Anyway, there should be a spindle there for the pedals. Right, the next thing to do is to take off this cup, which is the clutch cup. Now, to do that, there's actually a little circlip here which you must press down to try and get it out. Okay, I just pushed it there now and it's after coming loose. So that's it. That's what it looks like. Right. This clutch cup should come off now, but more often than not it takes a bit of levering to get it out. Sometimes they come off very, very easily, but more often than not it won't, so I'll have to do a bit of fiddling. What I do is I protect the wheel with a cloth, and I put the screwdriver in here like so, and then I tap it with a hammer very gently to get it to come up, like so. This is the pedal spindle that turns all the gears. Now, you wouldn't normally be able to get this out until the last, when the other casing would be coming off, but I just went to my spares to show you what it was like. Right, we've taken off the clutch cup, put all these things then into a tub. Right, the next thing to do now is to take off this mechanism here, and to do that requires a clutch decompressor, and I have one somewhere here. This is it. So that goes over it like that, and you must put 2 of the casing bolts down there to hold it in place, and as you tighten them down, it tightens the spring down, and then you can open the nut. Right, here I have a full set of engine casing bolts and all sorts of springs and stuff like that. If any of these things get broken, obviously there's none of these things in it, but I'd use 2 of those bolts now, and when I'm putting the engine back together I'm going to use them anyway. That's the 2 engine bolts there now, and in actual fact, there's my casing. You would actually be using engine bolt number 5 and engine bolt number 7, and I know myself that they're actually 2 long ones. So now I can take off this nut. Right, the 2 casings now have separated there. Let's just try and hold it. Okay. There's a little washer there that goes on there. And these are the dogs. Just checking to make sure they're okay. First thing to notice there now is that there's actually a washer inside there. That washer goes up against here, possibly there I would say, or there, it's one of the 2. Yeah, it's there actually. Goes up against that there. Right, I can take out this shaft here. What I'm watching for now is washers. Alright. And there is a washer here that has to go back in there when reassembling. And as far as I know, there's no washer underneath here. Oh, there is, my apologies. It's not always there. Okay. So now I can clean up all the casings, and it's just the last thing to do now is to take off the conrod. And to do that, I turn it upside down and hit it with a rubber mallet. Right, so I just hit it with the rubber mallet there, and it's after flying out. So that's it. We must assess all the bits and pieces now before and clean them off before we put it all back together. Move these 4 bolts that take the upper head sections. 2 of them off of there and 2 of them off of there. And the reason I took them off is because I noticed that one of them, you can see it there, is damaged, it's crooked. The other 3 are okay. So I'll have to try and straighten it or replace it.